I'm in Scranton, Pennsylvania, playing the Pennsylvania Amateur Championship. This is the third year I've played in a row. And these last 2 years, I've done pretty mediocre. The first year I played this event, I lost like 40 ELO, dropped from 1900 into 1800. Last year, I lost 10 ELO. This year, I'm hoping to gain some. I've been on a hot streak. I'm at 1966, and I'm playing Avery Zhang, who is rated 1495, and I actually played his brother in the first round of last year's PA Amateur Championship. So now I'm here to take him down, and we'll see how this goes. The NBA finals are on. Okay. He played E4 and I played the Philidor. I've been trying to mix it in throughout my tournaments in recent months, and I've been really enjoying it, especially after I play E5. I love it when they trade in the center and trade queens. I have scored before this game 4.5 out of 5 in this opening variation against a player with the average rating of 1850 or 1820. And it's just so easy to play for black and so easy for white to go wrong. My opponent played a move I haven't seen. Nobody has played this move order against me. They played knight f3 immediately. Usually people bring their dark squared bishop out or their light squared bishop out. But in this case, he went knight f3, attacking my e5 pawn. And I just pretty much just went a knight bd7 pretty quickly. After I played this move, I thought maybe I should have actually brought my other knight back instead. Like maybe knight fd7, bringing this knight back is actually better because I want to push the pawn to f6 and have a solid structure. So maybe this knight actually belongs. Maybe if I have to move one of the knights, why don't I move it here? In hindsight, I thought that during the game, but looking at it now, I actually am really glad I didn't do that because this knight. This knight on b8, it doesn't really ever belong on c6 in most variations, and it doesn't belong on a6. So if I have moved this knight to d7, this knight wouldn't really have a home, and I would have to figure out where I want to put it. I'm sure this move is probably fine, but this move is probably superior because it's my other knight that I'm moving. He goes bishop g5, and now we are squarely in the same variation as I get in all my other games. It has transposed. He played bishop c4. I go rook f8, just guarding my f7 pawn, and now he castles queenside, pinning my knight to my king. So now knight takes e5 is a threat. And so how are you going to deal with it? You can, and the common way to deal with this threat is to move your knight out of the way. Whoops. Move your knight out of the way to attack the bishop and then unpin. So here, I play knight e8, just like I did against Karl Demelt, FIDE Master Karl Demelt, and just like in that game, I took on e7, and black maintains a very solid position, and we're going to counter-attack, counter-strike, and go for some queenside expansion. That's the plan. He could go knight d5 here, and it would win a tempo. It would force me to go back to d8, but black is still just fine in this position, so he doesn't do that. He actually goes rook d2, planning on doubling, but I'm happy to see that because that's not a very effective plan. I mean, like, honestly, I don't think there are any effective plans here. White is out of plans. They just got to sit there. And so I just play c6. c6, preparing b5 and a5, maybe going knight c5, attacking the e4 pawn, and if he doubles, so what? If he double up, so what? Not much is there. If he did double up, I was actually calculating, like, oh my gosh, if I play b5, can he actually sacrifice his knight and then attacking my knight 3 times? And if I move my knight, then he can take my pawn, and that looks a little bit scary. I mean, I've lost 3 pawns for the piece, and then if I go here, well, now I'm stuck. I really am stuck here. Like, what am I supposed to do? If he goes bishop c6, I go rook b1, rook b8. I'm not sure how I'm ever going to move this bishop or move my knight. I'm just not really sure what I'm going to do. This looks a little bit scary, but I should be better with the extra piece. Even though he has 3 pawns, I should be better with the extra piece. But it was definitely something that gave me pause in this position. It was like, what am I going to do? But he didn't even play that move. He played rook f1, which is a lot less obvious. Like, I guess in theory, you could push this f pawn to f4 and try to open up the center, and I guess that's what he was going for. I don't think that's super... it's not really a threat. I don't have to respond to it. I can continue with my plan of queenside expansion. So I go b5, he goes back to b3, I go a5, and we have seen this time and time again. Just this is exactly like my game against Matthew Rebiz, where I go knight, well, actually, I go f6 first to solidify my center, and now my d knight is free to move. And yeah, this is almost exactly my game against Matthew Rebiz. In that game, he went for an h3 g4 approach to expand on the king side and try to break apart the pawns, but it never worked. And now he goes king b1 here to prepare for the opening of the a file and stop any rook infiltrations on e1. But now I go knight c5 here, and now I'm attacking the e4 pawn. So he has to defend it somehow. He can go rook e1 here to guard the pawn on e4, but he doesn't do that. He just goes bishop a2, avoiding losing the bishop, losing the light squared bishop. But now I just go b4. Let's go b4 here, and he takes. Brings the knight back to d1, and now this pawn is simply hanging here, so I just take it. I did think for a little bit here because I didn't know how I was going to respond to a rook e2. Bishop a6 just wins an exchange, but is there anything better here? Is there anything better? My conclusion was no. I wanted to play like knight 8 d6, so my knights are superfluous, they're guarding each other, but then just rook fe1, so he's doubling up rooks, and I just have to move my knight back. And so yes, I want a pawn, but like, is this really all I can get out of the position? Can I not get something better out of this position? And the answer is yes, I can. I can just play bishop a6 here, skewering the rooks to each other. So he takes my knight, I take his rook, he goes knight e3, attacking my bishop, I go knight d6, winning a tempo, attacking his rook here. And so this tempo is very important, because if I just go retreat, then he has knight f5, which isn't super like dangerous per se. It's just annoying. Like, this is a good square for the knight, so why allow him to go there? I can just play knight d6 here, and now I'm guarding the f5 square and attacking the rook. So he takes my pawn, so I won a pawn, I lost a pawn, but I won in exchange, so I'm up 2 points of material, and I just bring my bishop back because it was still hanging from the knight on e3, and now I'm just going to bring my other rook in and start attacking him. And this game ended in beautiful fashion here, because he went knight h4 here, I in the f5 square, I play g6, and my pawns are like spikes. They're like spikes here, stopping his knights from going forward. And so he goes back, and now I go rook fb8 here, putting my rook on the open file, eyeing the king. What are you possibly going to do here? He goes rook h4, attacking my h7 pawn, kind of tickling my position, but I just play h5, and now I'm doing just fine here. He tries to make something happen with the move g4, just trying to rip apart the position, create some chaos here, force my king to move. This bishop looking very nice with all this scope, but it has a lot of scope, but no potential. Here. So I just go bishop e2. Bishop e2, attacking his knight, which the g pawn did defend, but now since I'm g4, it's not defending. And I have a very, very sneaky idea. If he goes knight g1 here, I'm totally fine. I'm just going to take his pawn, and after he takes back with his knight, I can take. And if he goes check, I don't care. I'm just going to retreat, and I'm up this pawn, and his knight's undeveloped. Or if he goes back to back to d2, well, now I have this very nice move, because this knight, what was it doing on f3? It was actually guarding the rook on h4. So by forcing his knight to move back, now I go rook b4 or rook a4, either one, and I'm pinning the pawn to the rook. So if he takes, I take, and if he takes, well, I can still stop the pawn, probably with the king, honestly. Play king f8, king g7, collect the pawn on g6. This is not an issue. So I'm pinning the pawn to his rook, and there's not much for him to really do here. He plays f3, adding another defender on his g4 pawn, because if he didn't, I could just simply take his g4 pawn and not allow his rook to infiltrate at all. But now, but I had a hidden idea. Rook b4 did not just pin the pawn to the rook. It also set up me doubling on the a file. Now both my cannons are lined up on the a file, and if he moves his bishop, it is checkmate here on the back rank. So he's got to go. He can't move his bishop at all, and there's no possible way for him to defend his bishop. If his knight could teleport to c3, then he'd be fine, but it cannot, so he is not fine. He is losing in this position, and so he goes b3, I just take, and he takes my pawn, and then I'm a little bit fancy here. So the thing is, there are 3 games in one day. This is round 1, and it's game in 75, delay 5. So I have to constantly remind myself, like, okay, remember, don't spend too much time. Don't make yourself too tired for the next games, because there's a lot more chess left to play. So I said to myself, like, don't overdo it. Try to stay good. Try to not overcomplicate things, and try to conserve energy. However, he wasn't resigning, and like this position is just so much fun to play as black. I play knight b5 because you cannot take or push because of check here and mate. The knight guards the escape square for the king on c3, and if he goes c4, then I can always go check on the king, and after back go check, and after here it's still checkmate no matter what you do. So c4 doesn't work. I thought you might play b4. b4 is kind of interesting. I might have gone knight to c3, rook a2, and then just take this pawn. I might have done that. I'm not sure what I would have done if he had played b4, but he didn't do that. He went king c1 here. So now he's going to meet rook a1 with knight b1, and if I go knight c3, he's going to run out the window and attack my bishop, attack my knight. And yes, this is probably fine, but why allow him to trade pieces like that when my bishop was really good and my knight was really good, and now his king is safer in the center? Like, why would I do that? So after king c1, I just back on h5, and now I played rook a1. And now, after knight d1, I did not rush to hop in with my knight. I first took his pawn on f3, attacking his rook. He attacks my bishop. I defend my bishop, and now knight c3 is going to be lights out. I'm going to win another piece, and I'm going to be up a lot of material here. So he gives a check. I go up. The reason why I go king e6 and not king d6, because I know my king is 3 squares in front of his knight, and when your king is 3 squares in front of a knight, it's going to take at least 2 turns for the knight to check that king. So geometrically, there are no more checks in the position, so there's nothing for me to calculate. I'm just going to play knight c3 and win his knight, and it's going to be lights out. So he plays knight c4, I play knight c3, and now he plays rook c7. And now I think for 13 minutes, because I think I found a really nice solution to just end the game on the spot. And you may think, oh, well, why can't you just take the knight and the game's over? Yes, the game is over. However, this is just a lot more pretty. This is just very nice. I play e3. So now my bishop guards my c6 pawn, and I'm cutting off an escape square from the king. So he takes it. The pawn's just hanging. He just takes it. But I calculate this entire sequence out where I give a check, forces his king out. I give a check, forcing his king out. I give a check, and all of these squares are covered right now by my knights and my bishop, forcing his king out. Give a check, forcing his king out, give a check, forcing his king out, give a check. And if he goes back to b4, which is the only legal move, well, actually, we could give up your rook, which that's what he does in the game. He actually gives up his rook here. But if he didn't do that, if he just went king b4 immediately, then I go king d6, trapping the rook. How am I trapping the rook? If he goes anywhere with the rook, it's c5 checkmate. Pawn to a pawn checkmate, and that happens exactly here and then because he blocks with the rook. I take, and then pawn to c5 checkmate. So it is not every day you get to checkmate your opponent with a pawn, and so he allowed me to do it Very beautiful. The knight and the bishop here working together to cut off 4 squares of the king. The rooks cutting off the other squares. It is awesome, and I'm glad I spent those 13 minutes calculating this very fun thing to do. And yeah, so I end with the win, and I feel like I'm in good shape. That one, like I definitely had to think in that game. But as far as easy games go, like I definitely don't expect any game to be as smooth as going as this one. But yeah, this was an awesome ending to the game. So with that being said, I want to hit the game review, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.